to change, and it's going to be a little bit tricky, okay? So try to figure out where everybody's at and stuff like that. So with that being said, we're in Mark chapter 2. We're in Mark chapter 2. And while you turn in Mark chapter 2, I want to tell you a story. So now I have 3 what I call one-on-ones at the high school and middle school, where I talk to young men who, need a little more encouragement, who needs some encouragement from a guy. And I talk to these young men. And I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back. I'm saying this to pat y'all on the back, really. So one of these young men, I can't say his name or anything, the counselor came to me and said, I've only met with this guy for 2 weeks. I meet with him every Wednesday morning. And the counselor already got word from the teachers. He is dramatically different from when I first started with him. And that's within 2 weeks. Now, I'm not saying that to brag on me or anything. I'm saying that to brag on y'all. Y'all took the opportunity to hire a guy who enjoys working with students, who enjoys working with teenagers, and allow him to use his talents so this can happen, to finance him and make sure he can go to the school during the work week. So I appreciate that. I appreciate what this church has done for me. I came in as a single man about to move in with some other guy to a guy about to plan a wedding. That's dramatically different, guys. Believe me, my boat is rocked. I'm walking around that house going, well, I'm going to have to vacuum this floor more. Okay. I got to use hand towels now. What else? Okay, maybe. I'm talking about tables, like coffee tables and end tables. I don't drink coffee. I don't need a coffee table. I went furniture shopping. I never went furniture shopping. My world is rocked, guys, but it's rocked in a very blessed way, I would have to say. So we're going to talk about how Jesus kind of rocked the boat in Mark chapter 2. So in Mark chapter 2, we're going to read verses 13 through 17. So verses 13 through 17 in Mark chapter 2. Once again, Jesus went out beside the lake. A large crowd came to him. He began to teach them. As he walked along and saw Levi, son of Ephesus, sitting at the tax collector's booth. Follow me, Jesus told him. And Levi got up and followed him. While he was having dinner at Levi's house, many tax collectors and sinners were eating with him and his disciples. There were many who followed him. When the teachers of the law, who were the Pharisees, saw him eating with sinners and tax collectors, they asked his disciples, why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners? Now here's the verse I really want y'all to hear. On hearing this, Jesus said to them, it is not the healthy who needs a doctor, but the sick. I have not come to call the righteous. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners. Verse 17, let me read that one more time. On hearing this, Jesus said to them, it is not the healthy who needs a doctor, but the sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners. How did Jesus rock the boat? These Pharisees. How did Jesus rock the boat in this situation? He befriended unlikable people, unpleasant people. He befriended people that sometimes the Pharisees don't want to be around. Now I know this is tax time. We don't even want to deal with the IRS now, do we? So he befriended unpleasant people. I tell the students all the time, there's a place you go for about 7 hours a day where there's tons of unpleasant people. Where's that at, kids? School. Teachers and bus drivers and secretaries and principals, and even though it's such a blessing job, some days you just don't want to be there. It's true. I worked in the school system for 3.5 years, and I thought that was the best 3.5 years of student ministry I ever had. Because I was in there. I was in the trenches with them. So, and I befriended unpleasant people. And that's what Jesus did. Why did he befriend unpleasant people? Because in verse 17, it says, those sinners need me. The righteous don't. That's why Jesus came. So how did he rock the boat already? He befriended unpleasant people. Let's read Mark chapter 2, verses 18 and 20 now. Then John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting. And so people came asking Jesus, why is it that John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees are fasting, but not yours? Jesus answered, how can the guests of the bridegroom fast while he is with them? They cannot, as long as they have him with them. But the time will come, and the kingdom will be taken from them. And on that day, they will fast. So, this story, fasting is a spiritual discipline. Maybe we all should try to do, as you can tell, I don't fast that much. But I have fasted before, and it's, and we can get into all that. But right now, let's talk about why Jesus said we're not fasting right now. So right now, it was just a time, the Pharisee says, hey, it's time to fast. Let's do it. Wait a minute, why ain't y'all fasting? So how did Jesus rock the boat on this? He didn't hereby some traditions. He didn't abide by some traditions. He said, you know what, there's no sense in it right now. I'm here. But there will be a time they have to fast. And it's coming. He warned them, yeah, no, I'm not dissing fasting. But what I'm saying is, how can we fast now? I'm here. Everything's good right now. It's about to get that. Okay? Think about this. One of the stupidest days to even try to fast will be July 13th in 2019. That's when I get married. Okay? Look, that's going to be a dumb day to fast. There'll be food there. The other day is July 27th. Is that right?
I think so. I don't know.
I think so.
But yeah,
that's another dumb day to fast. Christians getting married. No, guys, let's eat and have a good time. Okay. So that's what he was saying. Hey, look, there's a time to fast. Okay? And just because he didn't hereby some traditions or didn't do it that day, doesn't mean he was a bad guy, right? It just means he didn't have to do it. So sometimes he just didn't. It's not necessary at the point. So there's two ways he rocked the boat. He befriended unpleasant people, and he didn't follow some traditions every once in a while. All right, let's read one more way he rocked the boat. Mark chapter 2, verses 23 and 24. On the Sabbath, Jesus was going through the grain fields. And as his disciples were walking along, he began to pick heads of grain. The Pharisees, there they are again, said to him, look, why are you doing this? Why are they doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath? So the next couple verses talks about how David did something a little unlawful and they didn't get on to him, kind of pointed out. Then verse 27, it says, then when he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not the man for Sabbath. So the Son of Man is the Lord even on the Sabbath. How did he rock the boat in this situation? He was taking care of business. Hey, look, I told the kids this, man's got to eat, right? Sabbath or not, we got to eat. So, he had to go get food. He had to work. I told the kids about something called a Jewish elevator or a Sabbath elevator. Anybody know what that is? Okay. Let me explain to you if you don't know what it is. It's an elevator, like if you have a 20-story building on the Sabbath day, which mostly Sunday, which is fine. The elevator will stop at every floor and open its doors. Floor 1, floor 2, floor 3. And it'll keep doing that all day long. It's programmed to do that. Just so you didn't have to do the simple act of pressing the button. So you didn't have to work. It's kind of crazy, ain't it? Okay. Hey, look. this, guys, right, Bob? And I'll press a button. I mean, I'm cool with that. So, how did he rock the boat on that? Basically, he took care of business. So there's 3 ways in Mark chapter 2 that Jesus rocked the boat. He did something different, out of the norm. By befriending unpleasant people, by not listening to some traditions, and by taking care of business. Those are 3 different ways he rocked the boat. Mark, now let me tell you about times that he would rock the boat. So it's very important, especially during this time. And that's Mark chapter 12, verse 17. And this is a guy coming and asking him about paying taxes. We all trying to get out of paying taxes, right? But so this guy comes to him and says, I got it. So he goes to Jesus, and Jesus said this about paying taxes. He goes, then Jesus said to them, give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and God's what is God's. And they were amazed at him. Hey, look, even though Jesus rocked the boat, he still paid his taxes. He still followed the law. Okay? So how did he not rock the boat here? He obeyed the law. Why? Because it was the right thing to do. You know, we just celebrated Martin Luther King not too long ago. And a guy coming to my wedding from Tennessee, our grandparents were best friends, and me and him became best friends. And I always tell people, I said, if it wasn't for, somebody like Dr. King stepping up and doing what was right, me and him couldn't be friends. And so now he's going to drive all the way from Tennessee just for a 4-hour festival. The wedding's going to last about an hour, and the reception's going to be fun. So he's coming for that. So, but Dr. King never did nothing unlawful. That was the thing. That was the biggest thing. He never did anything unlawful. Now we see Jesus rocking the boat, but then we see him kind of keeping it steady. Let's go to Matthew. It's going to be on the board, or should be on the screen if you don't want to flip there. Matthew chapter 8. And let me read you some of those verses. Let me get on my little handy dandy notebook. There it is right there. Matthew chapter 8, verses 23 through 27. And y'all recognize the story. Then he got on the boat, and his disciples followed him. Suddenly a furious storm came out on the lake. So the waves swept over the boat, but Jesus was sleeping. Disciples went and woke him, saying, Lord, save us. We are going down. He replied, you of little faith, why are you so afraid? Then he got up, rebuked, the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. The men were amazed. What kind of man was this? Even the winds and the waves obeyed him. So when this boat was literally rocking, Jesus put a stop to it, because he can do that. And that's what we're talking about. You know what? Jesus, in Matthew chapter 2, befriended unpleasant people. He didn't follow all the traditions. And Jesus was taking care of business. But he still paid his taxes. So he still followed the law. So this is, in closing, this is what we're going to do. And then the band, go ahead and get up. In fact, the elders, you can go ahead and come up here and just line up right here. So